Welcome to Belief, Being, and Beyond with your host, Granddaughter Crow. Hi, everybody. Granddaughter Crow here for yet another episode of Belief, Being, and Beyond. And I have a wonderful guest for you. Today, sometimes we go way beyond over the rainbow, right? Well, today, just like Dorothy, we're going to come back to our backyard in our garden and realize there is no place like home. There is no place like home. So I have Monica Crossan here with me today, and let me tell you a little bit about Monica. So, writer, master gardener, weaving magic in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Monica is a homesteader and a nature lover. So, if she's not in the garden, she's going to be found on one of those beautiful trails in the North Cascades. She is an author of 3 different books, to include The Magical Family, which I highly recommend for all of those with a family, and also The Wild Magical Soul. And now, this year in 2024, a year in the Enchanted Garden. So she also contributes to Enchanted Living magazine, as well as many of Llewellyn's almanacs, calendars, and companion books. Please welcome Monica. Say hello to everyone, Monica.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so excited to be in conversation with you. I have your book, and it is absolutely beautiful. It has
Isn't it?
owls.
Yes, yes. It's yeah, I have a copy right here, and that cover is absolutely stunning.
It
Absolutely.
is. Absolutely is. And, when I think about it, in preparing for this show and talking to you, I was really like, this really is the idea of the Enchanted Garden, finding out that you don't have to go somewhere over the rainbow to be able to connect. Um, I was also reading that, you're also an educator about plants and such. Tell us a
Uh,
little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, as a master gardener, actually, my expertise is helping families who don't have a lot of money how to use their EBT cards to grow a garden, because a lot of people don't know that they used to be called food stamps, that these cards also provide families with money for plants, seeds, things like that, so they can grow a container garden on their porch, or and just have, instead of just buying tomatoes, you can have continuous tomatoes. And I teach them how to care for them, and easy container gardening, because containers can be expensive, and how to compost and things like that.
That is so amazing, especially in this day and age where there is a consciousness to be able to grow your own food, and the
Yeah,
beauty and the health consciousness around having that sustainable living within the garden.
right, right. And I do live in a rural area, so but what I focus on are families in more urban areas, and talk to them so they can, to show them how to do it if they live in an apartment, or like in the burbs, something like that.
I love it. I love it. So, audience, a year in the Enchanted Garden, in going through this wonderful book, it's really kind of like 3 chapters are dedicated to each month, and it
Yeah,
is cram packed full of not just gardening, but magical spells and herbs and stones and astrological signs and animals and to-do lists. And it's absolutely amazing because when I picked it up, I'm like, a year? Well, really, it's only spring to fall, right? And it's like, no, how did you get January in there? Like,
well, January is, you don't think about it, but that's actually when you're planting your garden. So that's, where I started that. And then I live in the Pacific Northwest, which is, we're a zone anywhere from a zone 9, if you're very coastal, to where I'm like borderline mountains. So I'm a 7.5, in the zones. But so a lot of areas can plant. They're still planting in January, or have, I mean, even here you can plant. I grow food in January. It's just covered. And I think I do cover more of that at the end of the year. But yeah, there's always something to do in the garden.
Love it. So you mentioned zones.
Hmm.
Um, and so I live in Colorado, right outside of Denver. And so I guess that would make me more mountainous, probably a
It
6 or
would, and
7 or
probably a 6 or 7. And depending on where you're at too, because there's micro zones. So like just up the road from me, about 5 miles, they can grow rosemary all year round. Well,
wow.
because of my microzone here, my microclimate, and the way the wind comes off of the hill here in the south, I can't, because my
Wow.
looks slightly different, just because I kind of live in a hollow where I
No.
have, where the hills rise and how the wind comes, or where the river goes. There's a lot that goes into it. And I go into that somewhat, that you need to really watch what's happening in your area before you figure out what you can plant.
Love
Because
that.
just because your friend who lives 20 miles up the road can grow something, you might not be able to.
That's interesting. So what zone is this book written for, or is it all zones?
I tried to write something for all zones. With all of my books, I write because I am a creative writer first and foremost, and I like to tell stories. So each of my books, they're kind of a journey where I take you along with me. So there's a lot of memoir, things like that in them. But I did the best I could to cover something in the to-do lists in the back or wherever, to cover as many zones as I could, and what you might be doing and what your gardening needs will be, for your zone.
Love
And
that. I
I
love
might
that.
not be 100%, but I did try really hard.
No, I love that. So basically, everybody check out A Year in the Enchanted Garden, and it doesn't really matter what zone you live in, you can figure it out. So, another thing that I really enjoyed about this is that you spent the time to do an appendix. You took the time to do an appendix because I was looking through it and I'm like, I've been craving cabbage. And so I go and I'm like, this, oh my goodness, there it is. It's for like protection and money. And I'm like, oh wow. So
Yeah.
it's it's
Well,
amazing.
that was one thing with books. I mean, a lot of books have great appendixes, but there are some that I love that don't. And so it's really hard, just to like, you're like flipping through, like, what did they say? You just wanting the quick points. So I wanted to make sure that it had that in there, so you could, and I still need lists. I mean, I've been doing this forever,
Yeah.
and I still need lists. Once in a while, it's like, well, I don't use that plant a lot. Um, I mean, the other thing, and this is going beyond what's in the appendix. Also, I mean, magic is so, I don't know, it's this personal connection, obviously, with the spirit of your place, of your deity. It's your magic. So that's another thing I try to push in the book. Yeah, my appendix is there. It's great. I love lists. And a lot of that has to do with my ADHD. I need lists. But also, it's about connecting. And I try to, even if it's in your backyard, in your park, whatever, it's connecting with the spirits of your land,
Yeah.
and getting to know what grows there, and then how you can use them in your magic. And maybe you're like not feeling what I say lavender is for. Lavender is telling you something else. I encourage people to do that. It's your magic.
I love that. I love that. And you do go into even talking about, the deities of the land, which I found was really fascinating too, because it's not just about gardening. There's a deeper level of connection that you're drawing the reader in to see of the magic and the rituals and all of that. Can you talk a little bit more about that deeper magical connection with the land?
Well, to me, that's very important. And I almost feel like, I mean, I know a lot of us, and I am in a rural area. It's like, Monica, that's easy for you to say. But I think we've lost that a lot. And as um, pagan practitioners, I mean, isn't that what, I mean, that's our connection is to the earth, to the land.
Yes.
And I just want to encourage people to get back out there. And I know it's busy. We have jobs.
Right.
You know, we have families. We're busy. But just to take that time and to go out there, and it doesn't mean that you have to be like, I don't know, super like get out there and try to just be really spiritual with it right off. I'm saying take a book and go out there and learn about your region, like learn about its history, learn about its plants. And once you can start identifying things, like what grows in your hedgerows, what grows in your forests, how are your forests different than mine? And that's one thing I'm always, it's weird when I talk to people. That's the kind of thing that interests me. It's like, what kind of forest do you have? What kind of land do you have? How does it differ from mine? How does it feel? How do the spirits of the land feel? And for
Yes.
me, it's just like really becoming knowledgeable with where you are and your land, then making the connection and not just running out to the tree and saying, "Hey tree, I need
Right.
this."
Right. We're enjoying the Belief Being and Beyond podcast and would like to support it. I'm on Patreon. Just go to Patreon, Granddaughter Crow, or you can find it at granddaughtercrow.com. Thank you so much. So I have one of my books is titled The Wisdom of the Natural World: Spiritual and Practical Teachings from Plants, Animals, and Mother Earth. And so there we have a very deep connection, seeing the land. And I love that you say the spirits of the land. And the one thing that I try to explain to people is that you are a part of this
Right.
whole dynamic. What do you think about that?
Right. No, I completely agree. And I don't it's I don't know, it's odd for me to not be, and it's odd for me when I come across people who aren't. So it's um yeah, it's just very important to me, and it's something that I do on a daily basis. And it's how I connect. It is my practice,
Yeah,
basically. I
yeah.
mean,
I absolutely love that because, and I love that you're saying, oh, yeah, I'm so enamored in the land that I forget that people forget that like, they don't understand how to do that,
right,
ho-
right, that
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And, and, and it's kind of like when I say, and I love that you just said, hey, you go talk to a tree or whatever. But at the end of the day, the tree is saying so much. And I saw an interview that you did. I think it was it was one of those Llewellyn things where you guys were talking about winter
Yeah,
growing, and you kind of started talking about, well, in the winter people are like, they don't connect because it's cold and you want to go inside depending on what region you're in. But truly, if you go out, you can kind of recognize a tree not necessarily by the shape of the leaf but by the color of the bark and
right.
where it grows and how it grows. And
And they give off a different energy
yeah,
too, just like we do. I mean, we are different in the winter. We are going inward, and my energy is completely different in the winter than it is in the summertime. And I don't know, I think there's something beautiful about every season. And that's part of this too. Like I wanted to go beyond just a gardening book, but just connecting. And that's why I threw in, and of course, I do things that I'm familiar with, but encouraging you to go out and discover not only the plant life that you're growing in pots on your back porch or in your garden space, but also the plants that grow around you that are just as, you know, magical and wonderful and are our allies too.
Yeah, the trees in the park or the grass in the park or all of those kinds of things. Also in looking at this book, I thought, oh gosh, who is the reader? And I'm like, well, you have so many, you're reaching so far. There are so many readers. If you want to learn how to garden, pick up this book. If you know how to garden, but you want to increase your magical practice, pick up this book. If you want to align with the wheel of the year, pick up this book. And even if you are an herbologist, pick up this book because it really kind of you weave in so many different things. It's not just the months. It's the different herbs. It's the different what do you do, in your garden. It is stories, like you said. It is folklore. So even if you are, let's just say that you're like, oh, well, I'm just a kitchen witch, but I live in an apartment, what can you do to connect with being a green witch or a garden witch? And this book will help connect. Can you talk? Because I love this, because I want to reach the people who, like you had mentioned at the beginning, live in maybe live in an apartment complex, or they don't have a little plot of land. What do you recommend for those people to do?
Well, my favorite, and I have one actually in my kitchen, is the little hydroponic uh uh counter gardens, or the arrow gardens, I think is the main name that most people know. But they're water based, so you have a little plug, you put the little seeds in, they pop into water. They have a light that actually is timed. You don't even have to take care of it. All you have to do is put in water, and the light comes on and off as needed, and they're wonderful. They grow, they have all you can, well, you can get one of their kits, which some of them have like a tea garden, so it's going to have lavender and lemon balm and peppermint or something. You can even grow tiny tomatoes with those things, but that's kind of where I go, because they're garden for anyone and for the especially busy, and they fit in the tiniest places. In fact, I got my son and his fiance one for Christmas because they live in a studio apartment that has hardly any room, and it's perfect.
Right. I love that. So it's really kind of interesting because I also research a lot about plants and that they are a life force, that when you are around them, they give you life force. And
Mhm.
when you love them, they feel your life force.
Oh,
Yeah, talk a little bit about that connection that you understand.
for me, I mean, a lot of the plants are my babies. I have ones, and I talk about this in the Magical Family too, that I'm completely into plant and seed sharing, and most of it's because of, for me personally, is because of ancestral roots. So I have plants on my property that were my great great grandmothers. I mean, my rhubarb, one of my varieties of rhubarb, roses all over. I have a money plant that came from seeds that my mother-in-law, great, I can't remember how far back those were. They were in a jar that she had in a storage unit forever. And she was like, hey, Monica, do you want to try these? And but yeah, I mean, for me, it's not only just a connection with the plant, but it's connection with my roots. And um, like my family on this land, I mean, in this area goes back quite a ways. So like I look at them and I I have memories with my grandparents and then their stories that come from this. So for me, a lot of it is just that ancestral um, connection with the plants too.
I absolutely love that because, a lot of times when I'm looking at a tree, I think to myself, you're older than I am. You know,
Right.
people who, you've seen people that have gone past,
Oh, I
you know,
know, right? Yeah, yeah. I think that way too.
yeah.
I live on the Sauk River, and the Sauk Suatl tribe is about 10 miles up the road from me. And there's this beautiful, wonderful old cedar that I talk about in Wild Magical Soul. But I just like to think of like I'm sitting under it and everything it's seen, because the river was the main source of travel at the time. And um, the people of the time, coming up and down that river, just, things that it's seen. It's, I don't know, you can feel it. You can feel it just sitting around it.
I agree. And to me, that just kind of opens my mind beyond my little life and my little world and my
Yeah.
little house. And so I have another question for you. When is a good time to start this book, or can you just pick it up at any month and just start with the month or?
I think you can do that because, at least even if you start now, it's a little late. I mean, unless you live in like zones 9, 10, something like that, because you can plant continuously in these warmer zones, which is perfect. But for someone like me, like I just got done doing my a few weeks ago fall planting because you can plant continuously. Like I always have a crop of like I just did carrots, beets, peas for fall planting. I'm also in the middle of harvesting right now. So if you're in the middle of harvesting, you can start with that. I have stuff like for for Maven and Samhain and Yule and things like that are coming up. There's recipes, there's things on mushroom hunting. This is not like a guidebook you take out with you to go mushroom hunting. It has just a little bit here and there. And in it, it's like, yeah, take someone with you because mushroom hunting in particular can be very dangerous. There's a lot of lookalikes if you know nothing about it. But yeah, and also just for inspiration for next year, you can read ahead and plan, start your vision board, things like that.
I love that. And that's another thing that you do bring up in this book is you do follow the Sabbats
Mhm.
and you help us to explore what that looks like from in your garden and how to bring that to your table and how to connect with these deities. And I just think that, a lot of times, people out there, if you're in a coven for a long time, year after year, sometimes you kind of just go through the motions, but bringing it back to life with the enchantment of I am serving you a dish with basil on it that I grew in my little kitchen is just so powerful and
Yeah.
healthy.
And that's what we're planning that right now. We do that uh, every year and we bring something different to the table. You can even do like, hey, we're doing apple recipes this year. Let's do it. What are we gonna, come up with? And then just, make the whole thing about that. I mean, get creative and fun. Um, I like to make everything really pretty, and we always do it down by the river. But yeah, yeah, it's fun. I enjoy stuff. My coven, we're kind of all solitary practitioners, but for the Sabbaths we come together and do group.
I love that. Absolutely love that. So, um, this is a little outside, but I really want to know your answer. I'm excited to hear what you're going to say. I read a bumper sticker that says, "You don't need a therapist, you need to garden," or something like that. What
Like
do
dirt
you?
therapy.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's true, and I know, and I can't think of all the names of the cool microbes and stuff that are in the soil, but you can look it up, and I wrote about it in there too. Um, but there is actually something to being in the dirt that actually makes you feel better. And for me, there's nothing like it. I mean, I could be completely in a bad mood and angry and pulling stuff up out in the garden. Like there's nothing like it,
Right.
digging and so it works on many levels. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, therapy. I absolutely love.
it
Plus,
is.
you know, not only do you get that almost instantaneous, like I think a lot of times we get into our head, we
Yeah,
get in all of this, and this brings you back here
you're right.
into your body. And another thing that I like to do is I do like to celebrate, do rituals outside, even when it's snowing or raining,
Oh,
because
me too.
it reminds my
Mhm.
body about what my ancestors went through and how, and the connection with being with the plants, the tree is feeling this too. And
Yeah, yeah, no, I always. And it
yeah,
rains here a lot. So we get wet a lot outside, but that to me is part of it.
yeah,
It's part of the ritual and
yeah.
I love it.
I do too. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that okay, too. So tell me about at the end of each little section of the 12 months, you have like a to-do list, or talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I thought I would make a little section that, if nothing else, you've read the book, you don't want to flip back through the chapters and go, what was she doing in February? Was that in chapter two? Where you're probably going to read more of the stories or the folklore, and then, like spells and things like that. At the end of the chapters, I thought it would make it easy. These are the exact to-do lists in case that's all you're wanting to do. It's like, hey, what should I be doing in the garden right now? Well, here are some tips and tricks. Like this is a great time, like say January, to start making sure, make those lists. What do I need if you're new to gardening? If you're not, do I need to oil or sharpen tools, things like that. Um, yeah, and then I throw in like magically, like what could you learn? What's a lesson or something, that you could learn from the garden or what you could be doing. So like, it might be time to dry herbs and what they could be for. Here's some
Yeah,
ideas for some Yule gifts or something that you can start doing in November
I
with
love
herbs
that.
and things like that. So
I
yeah, just you make it easy.
I love that too because when I think about the wheel of the year, or going through the connection with planting and growing and harvesting and preparation and storage and all of these things, it's full of these concepts that we can apply to our actual daily life, like
Yeah.
growing up, or how to like let something go, or how to nurture. So what do you think about that? I mean, it's a common concept, but I really just,
Yeah, no, there's lessons in everything. And in my own life, I mean, I, I try to tie every season has a lesson and I tie that into my writing and I try to, practice what I preach. So, use it in my own life. But yeah,
I do too. I do
and
too.
nature sometimes has cool lessons. I mean, look at winter and how we can look at that. But I mean, we always life always spring always comes back and
I say I say the same thing, Monica. Sometimes I'm like, somebody will call me up and they're just like, "Oh, it's desolate. Nothing's moving. It's so cold. I feel so isolated." I was like, "Well, it sounds like you're in a winter, but don't worry, spring will come."
right, exactly. And it's crazy because I mean we were talking about connecting with the dirt and things like that. For me there's also something about scent with every single month, and maybe I'm just outside a lot and hearing connecting with the seasons, but in the winter, I mean, as it ends, there's a scent in the air that, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, this is bad. This feels bad to me. But I mean, here's the earth telling me, you know, hang on, spring's coming.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
smell the soil. Right,
And,
you know.
it's kind of interesting because in studying Mother Nature, Mother Earth, from my perspective, I did learn that one of the communication tools that plants have is scent. They talk to us through scent
Right, right. Yeah,
versus like a word. They're telling us things.
yeah, no. Um, Plants are amazing, amazing. And I've learned so much from them, you know?
Yeah, me too. Me too. My husband, he does all of our gardening, and
Nice.
he said to me, when you go out into the garden, every day is Christmas because
True.
you find something new. And it also teaches you patience, like
Yeah,
to plan for the future and oh my goodness, that seed, that fruit, we have a grapevine, we have,
yeah.
all different types of things. So do you find that same like almost
Oh,
childlike
yeah.
wonder?
Oh, it is. It's fun. Like right now, it's like I go out and I'm looking at pumpkins and squash and watching them grow. My grapes too. It's just like, oh my gosh, looking, finding them up within the vines and I have corn that's just coming out. It's just ready. We had some last night. And but it's fun going out there and it's like, oh my gosh, these tassels, this is ready and kind of poking through stuff. It's always exciting to me. I always feel like a kid. It's great.
Yeah, yeah, and so I love the way that it's called, the Enchanted Garden. That's exactly where I went with it. I'm just like, I was born in New Mexico, which is the land of enchantment. So
Mhm.
I love this word, Enchanted Garden. How did you come up with Enchanted Garden? Just the title.
Well, I'll be honest with you, that was collaborative with my publisher. Um, I'm not even sure what my original title it might have been A Year in the Witch's Garden or something like that. But we come together and it's like, um, let's think of some things, blah, blah, blah. That's what came up between us, or all
I
of the three of
absolutely
us.
love it.
But
And
yeah, no, I love it too. And like I said, when they showed me the art for the front, that just blew me away and just
oh yeah.
all together.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So, is there anything else that you wanted to kind of highlight that I didn't touch on about your book or anything that you'd like to just share with the listeners?
I just want to remind everybody to go outside. Like, just go outside. Even if you don't feel like it, you're going to feel so much better. Take a short walk, sit by a tree, talk to your plants. Just just do it because
I love that.
it's it's worth it.
I love that. I love that. And I agree with Monica, go outside and do that throughout the different seasons and watch how the natural world changes within wherever you're at and how it impacts your physical well-being and brings you to life. I love to go out in the springtime and just you can just smell it. And I know listeners, you guys know what I'm talking about, but you can do that all year round and just breathe in the natural world as therapy. So instead of going somewhere over the rainbow, just pick up A Year in the Enchanted Garden by Monica Crossan. Monica, thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you.
Oh, yeah, this has been a lovely conversation. And I know that there are a lot of people, like I said, If you are a gardener, pick up this book. If you want to increase your magical side, if you are in a coven, do this within your coven. If you're a mom and you have kids that you're like, what am I supposed to do with these kids? Maybe this would be a fun exercise because there's a lot. I mean, it's a workbook too. They give, little stories and, to do things. And so this book is just amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to write it, to share it. And I just really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you. It was actually a really fun book to write, I have to say.
Oh,
I
I
enjoyed
love
it.
it. I
Yeah.
love it. So awesome. Thank you, listeners, for listening once again to another Belief Being and Beyond. Please like, subscribe, and share. Also, I am going to go on to Goodreads and give this a 5-star review. So if you
Yay.
want to know how to support an author, one that's been on my show, one that you've read a book, go to Goodreads, give them a review. It really is helpful. Share this wisdom, makes a great gift. Just telling you, this is a great Christmas gift, and helps people with New Year's resolutions too. So anyway, like, subscribe, and share. And I love you, and we'll see you on the flippity flip.